Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. I'm Jeremy Elliott, joined by Ryan Hand. Different settings. Ryan, we're trying everything we can to make this Zoom thing work. I don't know what's going on. I have a call into them. That doesn't matter. They haven't gotten back to me, and we're switching computers, switching venues. It's all kinds of stuff going on.
I got an idea for next week if this doesn't work.
I don't think I'm going to like your idea.
You can send me to the Bahamas. I'll see if I have better service there.
Yes. We did have better service when you were at the beach. I will give you that.
Well, you can send me back to the beach. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as it's not in the wind, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, this has been a ongoing problem for about a month. So hopefully this takes care of it. So we'll see how it goes. But we're going to jump right in here and talk about the one place we had racing last week, or one of the few places we had racing, and that was Central Arizona Speedway, where the ASCS Series Southwest region got kicked off. And opening night, DJ Neto gets a curfewed win, I guess, after 9 laps. I know you're just loving that. I didn't think we could ever surpass anything than the 10-lap race at Williams Grove last year during the National Open, but we did.
Yeah, but I honestly think that there was good intentions for this, because apparently, and I think you'll talk about it shortly, but Dobmeyer got burnt. They had an ambulance on site. Now, I talked to someone that was there. They had an ambulance on site, but it was theirs. Basically not able to leave the grounds. So when that ambulance took Dobmeyer out to the end of the fairgrounds, a couple people were not very happy that there wasn't an ambulance like back at the track, and there was a big to do, and they said they weren't racing until there was an ambulance there, and I guess no ambulance came, so they couldn't leave Dobmeyer go until the helicopter or whatever came to pick him up. So that's what I was told. I was told that's why it got shortened to 9 laps. They did run out of time, but it was because they didn't have an ambulance. So I think good judgment error on the side of safety.
I totally agree. And they were going to run it the next night. Then I guess the next night curfewed as well. And a guy by the name of Jake Helsel won. I guess he's from Washington. Look for a feature on Jake from Joseph Terrell, our West Coast correspondent, on SprintCarUnlimited.com, because I think he voiced something. He called me the other night and he said he was going to do something on him. And but he gets the win, holds off Dominic Scelzi by like 0.2 or something like that. And again, couldn't get that Friday in. So they talked to the drivers. Drivers said, hey, you know what? Just count it as completed. So we have DJ Neto and Jake Helsel with getting wins with ASCS.
The Saturday race got shortened to 20 laps as well because it laid rubber.
You love
that? Kind of a mess. You know my stance on rubber races. Now, Dominic did start. I think Dominic started 10th and got the second. So that was. They said he ran like a lane and a half down from everybody else. Everybody else is kind of in the rubber on the top, which is not normal. But he ran like down a lane and a half and was able to pass guys at will, it sounded like. So, but ran out of time. 20-lap race. So interesting things out there. 29 laps. You have 2 features in 29 laps. That's pretty weird.
Yeah, at Lincoln Speedway, that's not even one complete event.
Yeah, that's not a lot of wear and tear on your stuff. That's a good night. That's a good weekend.
Yeah, except for laying rubber. I'm sure that 8 tires.
Except, yeah, that 8 tires. They said they were canvassed.
So, you mentioned Mark Dobmeyer. Took a tumble, caught on fire, 2nd and 3rd degree burns. The good thing is that he's been on social media giving updates. That's the big positive. It looks like he's going to get surgery. I don't know if it's today. We're taping Tuesday, maybe tomorrow, and for skin grafts. So, you know what? As bad as the situation could have been, it looks like it's improving, and they have something to work with there. And he's, like I said, he's on social media, so that's a huge positive.
Yeah, no, it's scary. I mean, fire is probably one of the more scary things for me to see, to look at, to never ever want to be a part of that. So, um, it's definitely, I mean, to be able to walk away, and I guess the skin grass will take care of it. It's still a little scary.
Well, yeah, anytime you're doing skin grafts and whatnot, that's never good. Also, Logan Seavey gets a win in the No Way Out 40 at Paragon out in Indiana. I like the name No Way Out 40. Sounds like it should be held at like Attica prison up in New York, which by the way, I saw a documentary on that 1971 riot. Wow. Just
I'll have to check it out.
oh, it was incredible. I can't
Netflix?
no, Showtime. Showtime's
Oh,
been doing a lot of good documentaries lately.
wow.
And I think they are also doing that Waco one. Just a lot of historic stuff. I can't believe that happened in this country in 1971. Now, it was a year before
I
I was born, so, but
I can't believe they got a race in the Midwest last week.
that's a good point.
I
I,
think that's more impressive.
it's the only place that got races in, and I think that's,
Yeah,
I mean, but
it's insane.
Logan Seavey, good start to the year. Obviously, winning the Chili Bowl and then winning at Paragon. But rainouts and weather were the story last weekend. Everything got banged out in Central PA. Port Royal, two-day show got nixed. Then we had the Williams Grove opener, little chilly, didn't get that one in either. California, I think that state's going to wash into the ocean. As much rain as
Or
they're getting,
did you see the snow in Lake Tahoe?
yeah,
Jeremy, I just showed my daughter right before I come up for the show. There's this thing where they were maintaining their ski lift, and the guy was standing in the snow, and he was as high as the wheels that run the cable. And Kayla's like, "Wow, Dad, they got like 6 inches or 6 foot of snow." I'm like, "No, it's more like 36 foot of snow." I said, "Here's what it looks like without snow," and she's like, "Oh my God, yeah,
yeah.
it's insane." The
It's
weather, and here we are in Pennsylvania, we get like an inch and a half of snow all winter.
yeah, I don't get it. Well, you like that. You don't, yeah, I know. Here come the thumbs up.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. We could all stand to go out and shovel snow. No.
No,
Well, you live in Tower City. You have that ritzy Ryan Hand estate up there. You should have snow.
right, right. No, I just have the peasants come in and shovel for me.
Ah, I thought that's what it was.
Yeah. On
But
my sprint car unlimited salary, that's how I get it
yeah,
done.
that's it. That's it. Well, California's been hit by weather the worst. They Hanford last week got banged out. Ocean Speedway is being used as a shelter because a town in and around the Watsonville area is flooded. The levee broke, I guess. So they canceled 2 weekends and they won't start until next weekend. I question whether they're going to get it in the 31st, which is their race that's when Taco Bravo is going to start. So, and this week, the mini Gold Cup's already been axed at Chico. So Placerville's the last man standing this weekend in California. So I talking to Joe Von Schriltz and he said he should just cancel for the rest of the month.
Is that bad? Wow, that's insane.
It is that insane. And I guess it's gonna rain. It's gonna rain tomorrow yet or something. Then there's gonna be like 4 or 5 days, and then it's gonna rain another 4 or 5 days next week, which doesn't bode well for the high limit show.
Mm.
So
I guess it's better to be in Pennsylvania, or at least the Outlaws schedule looks better this way. Those guys can get home at least.
yeah, and
No.
the weather looks respectable for this weekend. So
Yeah, I think this weekend could be a go. I really do. As negative as I was last weekend about the weather, I'm being more positive this week.
look at you being all positive. It's a different Ryan.
See, it won't last long, but
The next rubber race, then after that,
yeah,
it goes
yeah.
to Attica
Yeah.
Raceway Park, also banged out. this weekend already. That happened yesterday. I was really kind of surprised. It's just wet grounds. They didn't think with the weather that they're getting out there that it would be able to dry. So again, Attica Raceway Park's opener. It's going to have to wait another week.
I got zero problem with these guys canceling this early in the week. None. Because if you really want to race that badly, you can come in here. I mean, it looks like there's probably going to be racing in here, or you can just sit at home and wait till next week. But at least you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Do it a number of days in advance.
Yeah.
Teams know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's it. Just give it one of those. So,
yep.
That's
no doubt.
Wrap up segment 1, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We'll be back in segment 2 where BAPS Motor Speedway General Manager Kolten Gouse will join us, I guess, in studio, because I'm not in a studio, but no backdrop. I forgot that. It's been terrible. I know, shake your head.
It's good you don't have a race car. You won't even get to the racetrack.
I know. I'd put the gears in upside down. Hint, hint.
No, you would. No, you wouldn't even get it loaded on the trailer.
Oh, I would certainly forget stuff. That's for sure. We'll be back in our next segment with Kolten Gouse. Stay tuned. Welcome to segment 2, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We're joined by Kolten Gouse, General Manager of BAPS Motor Speedway. He's in this makeshift studio, whatever you want to call it. See if we can fix our Zoom problems. I thought it was pretty good in the first segment, Ryan.
If you say so. I mean, I didn't see any lockups like we've had, so it's a good thing. We're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, for once. Kolten, how you doing?
Good. Can't complain. It's cold. It's cold outside.
A little windy.
It's windy. Today was brutal.
Well, we're going to jump in. We don't want to keep you too long. I know you want to get back on the track in the brutal weather.
No. No, maybe watch the news. The weather, man.
Yeah, but before we get, I guess you have an opener this week, which we'll get to in a minute. But the perfect place to start for you guys is, I think, in the off season, you had a World of Outlaws race coming to BAPS Motor Speedway on July 19th. This seems like it's been a long process for you. What was this? What did it take to get this race? And you kind of been working on this for quite some time.
Yeah, I think part of it is we just had to pay our dues a little bit. I think anytime the first year when you start seeing changes and stuff, I'm sure with anything, the bigger series are, I don't want to say skeptical, but just want to see what goes on there. And I think, over the last 7 years, we've kind of been able to, get some stuff going in the right direction. Our racing's been good. I think the improvements at the Speedway as far as some safety stuff and, the first year that we had the Speedway, we only had 30 acres and we've expanded over the last couple of years. And I feel like we can support some campers and parking and be able to participate in some of these bigger events. So it's taken a couple of years. And I think, barring that we get a fair shake with weather, I think we can put on a good event for everybody. But it's definitely has had its challenges from 2016 to here. But I think overall we've at least trended in the right direction to be able to host a race.
With that being said, there are 11 sprint car events on your schedule this year. That's including the World of Outlaw event. But you have 10 other ones. This is the heftiest schedule that I've seen at the Speedway. Was there a concerted effort in the offseason to add more sprint car events and kind of showcase the division a little more?
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 years we really haven't gotten a fair shake with weather. I think last year, we didn't race last year till July. I think was our first sprint car race. So it's tougher for us because we're not a weekly venue. So, when we lost a race, it was, 5 or 6 weeks till we had another one. So, um, over the off season, I tried to get with a couple drivers in the area and try to pick some. It's tough because we live in an area now that we race 100 sometimes a year, but tried to pick some dates that might not be as bad to host at our speedway, if that makes sense. We're doing one next week in March. We've never really done one. Obviously, if the weather's good, could be a great car count, could be a great fan count. If the weather's bad, we cancel and we get out of there. So I think it'll be good. I think we got them spaced out enough. I feel like we're really not stepping on anybody's toes. Some of the dates kind of became available. Like in September, usually we were on a Thursday, and Selinsgrove kind of moved a date, and we took that September 23rd race. So some of it was a little bit scheduled too, but overall, I think our dates for the most part are, I don't want to say team friendly, but some of them aren't in the heart of Speed Week and some of the other stuff that's going on. So we were definitely strategic, that's for sure.
So Colton, on top of quite a few 410 dates, it sounds like you're going to have a fairly lucrative point series that you're going to pay out for these 10 races. I don't believe the Outlaw race is included in that, from what I understand. Can you explain the details of your point series?
Correct. So we are going to have a point fund for the sprint car races. It'll be the first time we've done it. A lot of that was, in years past, we've only had, 6 to 7 races a year. And it was kind of always hard to kind of have a point fund because if you lost 2 or 3 of them, you're just having a 4-race series. This year, I felt having 11 races, and we are not including the Outlaw race. I kind of want this 10-race deal to, I don't want to say take care of our local guys, but I do need those local guys to keep our races going. So I think taking that race out of the equation will make our 10 races stand out a little bit more. But we are having a point fund. It was something that I started talking to a couple guys, and at first, I did have somebody come on board and help out right out of the gate, and then I don't want to say we had a couple of hurdles, but just kind of stalled out a little bit and wasn't sure if we were going to be able to do a point fund. And then over the last week or so, things have kind of come together really, really quick. And I can tell you for sure, we will pay the top 10 in points, and there will be an $18,500 point fund. So it'll definitely be 5,000 to win, and then we'll kind of go down through. And we'll have a release out here probably tomorrow or Thursday regarding all the information and all that stuff. But we're working on a couple other people. I'd like to get it a little bit higher, but I think it's going to be pretty good. It's also going to be guaranteed. So if 3 of those races rain out, we only get 7 in, we're paying 18.5 out for the top 10 for those 7 races, which I think is a big deal. And we got some great people that came on board to do it. RV 4-wheel drive center there in Mechanicsburg, they're going to be the title sponsor. They put up a good bit of money. And then I got a couple other local guys, Denk Electric, Sprint Car Limited TV is going to help out, Capital Renegade, and Wayne Quackenbush. I do believe his car is going to run all of the races, I believe, in this area. So we definitely got a lot of guys that pitched in to do this. And, that was my selling point to them is, whatever you guys want to put to this, it's going back to the racers. So, if we can raise 10,000, we're paying out 10,000. If we can raise 20,000, we're going to raise 20,000. To me, that was the key, is the money for the point fund is we're going to give it back to the racers, because if it's lucrative enough for the racers, I think that means these guys will be willing to come out and support it. So I think it'll be a good deal. Hopefully guys will be excited about it. I think there's a lot of guys that from what I've seen, I don't want to say this has been kind of the worst kept secret in racing because I've been talking to a lot of car owners over the last month and a half at the York Show and Motorsports of, hey, what do you think? And from what I gather, it seems like there's a lot of guys that are willing to come support these races that in previous years maybe they would only run 1 or 2 times a BAPS, and now they're kind of putting all of them on their schedules. So I think it's really encouraging. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good thing for our area.
I like it.
Kolten, what
Go ahead.
I know you guys really work hard in the winter and the off season to make improvements at the Speedway. You've have for the last, well, since you got a hold of the place. So, what kind of stuff did you have going on this winter?
Well, one of the big things that kind of, I don't want to say has been a complaint, but in 3 and 4 tends to shelf off a little bit up there. Sometimes the sprint cars get a little bit too far around out there, and then it kind of shelves off. And in previous years, we've just never been able really to be able to work on that because the guardrail up there has just been terrible. And this off season, we put new guardrail in all the way around 3 and 4, went 4 high, kind of matched what's down there in 1 and 2. And I feel like we've gotten the shelf better, but like I've told everybody, it's still there a little bit. I mean, we've moved the guardrail in about 5 feet, and we raised it up about 8 to 12 inches in the center, and we did add some degree of banking there. But you know as well as I do, you can't just put 2 feet of clay down there and hopefully it just stays together. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a little bit of a process to get it where it needs to be over the next couple of years, but we at least have the foundation and the infrastructure there that next year we can put on more clay and we can continue to work on that shelf. So my goal is that I feel like our racing is good there. I'm not going to say it's the best all the time. I mean, everybody, has good races and bad races, but I do feel like there's times that it just gets a little too far around there, and then the guys kind of get to the bottom just because it shelves off. You come off turn 4 and you're kind of hanging. And I know you know what I'm talking about there.
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
I think that I hope that's encouraging to the guys that I know that's kind of, and it's not just the sprint cars. I hear from the late models and the sportsmen, hey, there's a shelf up there. Hey, it's a shelf up there. I feel like we put the stuff in that we can kind of show the teams, hey, we're going to work on fixing this. Don't, it's not a, hey, we're hearing from you and we're going to work on it. Now it's kind of, hey, we can show you that we are working on that. So I think that'll be encouraging for the guys over the next couple of years.
No, I mean, from my perspective as a broadcast, having the broadcast rights are obviously sprintcarlimited.tv. I think the racing's good there. I think you mentioned, we talked about the series a little bit. It's only 10 races to have a point fund that's as good as some Saturday night tracks. I think that should draw people. But it isn't, your schedule isn't just about, and this is close to Ryan's heart because where does Ryan come from? Modifieds. And actually, surprisingly, I saw modifieds are where I started watching races when I was 5. Super Sportsman and modifieds, ironically, at Penn National. But your schedule has a lot of diversity in it, a lot of different divisions. And you stuck to 358 modifieds on the schedule for week 1, with your openers this Saturday. What made you make a commitment to the modifieds like that, to have 4 races there this year, and also just have the variety in divisions at BAPS Motor Speedway?
Well, I think so. So there's kind of a couple questions in your question there that you asked.
That's how I do it.
I think obviously there was some uncertainty of maybe what was going on with Grandview towards the end of last year, and we wanted to grab the modifieds there and put them on the opener, just the kind of case something would happen there, not to sugarcoat anything, but also to just spark a different interest fan wise. It's tough, support in Lincoln's, 410s every week, and this is a very 410 central area of fans. And, we wanted to kind of do something different there and spark some different interests. Now, it might be a little bit tough this weekend just because, the cold, I think could keep some guys away. But overall, I think when we've had the modifieds there with our sprint cars in the past 2 years, it's been really, really good. We brought in different fans from Jersey, New York, and Delaware that normally wouldn't have came there to watch the sprint cars. So it's definitely brought in a different group of fans to come spectate or come to the pit areas, where normally if we ran a division that ran around here every week, it's kind of the same stuff. So, but overall, I think and I'm sure everybody says this about their schedules, but I feel like we built a pretty good schedule. I think it's very fan friendly. It offers a lot of different variety of things, and I think it's really helped with some of the stuff that we got going on. Whether it's from advertisers or some different partnerships that we've kind of put together over this winter. That the last couple of years we've been beating down those doors, but we never really got a chance to get in those doors. And by changing some of the stuff that we're doing, it's kind of really finally opened up those doors. So I think it'll be good. I think it'll be some talking points for fans, which I think is good. But I think more importantly, and I think the key is, myself and Kalita and Scott have talked about, we got to find a way to bring new fans to the Speedway. And the only way to do that is by doing some different events that is going to bring in somebody that's never been to a racetrack before. So hopefully it'll work. But it's like anything else, just got to get a fair shake with weather, and hopefully we can put on a good show for fans, and people will like it and they'll want to come back, whether it's next week or another event down the road.
Kolten, your diversity that you were just speaking of a little bit there. Jeremy has a list here of some things that you guys do at the track that isn't really racing per se. Like what we're used to: sprint car racing, oval race. You got monster trucks, bull riding, Lantern Fest. I know you take part in the community night there at the Speedway, and I know that's always pretty big. Obviously, this is done trying to get other people to the place and then trying to get them back out for races. Am I not correct there?
Correct. Yeah, that it's kind of a loaded question, really. That bull riding deals against the World of Outlaws in May. It's tough to, race fans are either going to go or more than likely going to want to go watch the World of Outlaws. So for us to host a racing event against them is tough, because racing is just such a small piece of the pie, and we're kind of competing against each other. So I wanted to do an event completely different, where we kind of didn't have to rely off the racing fans, and to bring in new people that maybe have never been here, and maybe they'll look around the facility and go, hey, you know what? Oh, they're advertising for Speed Week. Oh, what's the World of Outlaws? And maybe they'll come back. Lantern Fest is a totally different group of fans that roll in through here. Just a total different demographic and people. It's just completely the opposite of what we're used to on a Saturday night. So, and I will also say this too, Ryan, is, there's been some sponsors that have come into the Speedway this year purely off of some of those events that the last couple of years wouldn't even take a phone call. So I think that's good too, because it's exposing them to racing and partnerships and different businesses that are within the community that could benefit them. So I think that's key. One of the things that I'm really proud of, probably the proudest out of anything that we do, honestly, that's going to sound really hard to understand that, but last year we did a partnership with Thrivent Financial, and one of the things I kind of came to Kalita about this 2 winters ago, and I said, we have something at the Speedway that we really should do something within the community. I don't want to say troubled kids, but there's people out there that just they don't know what they want to do in life. Maybe they don't have the resources necessary to go to college or go wherever. I don't want to say, underprivileged kids, because that's not the case, but there's just a lot of people that sometimes, they just don't know what they want to do.
Mhm.
And to me, the Speedway, this is going to sound funny, but I look at the Dallas Cowboys, on Thanksgiving Day, that whole deal is about the Salvation Army.
Ryan's a Redskins.
I know, but what I'm saying though is that whole deal is about the Salvation Army, and they touch so many kids, so many people in that community, and really uses their brand, their stadium, their players to do good. To me, the racetracks should be no different. And we went to Thrivent Financial last year, and I said I want to do 3 events in the community, and I want it to be solely centered around township and our local community, not Philadelphia, not whatever, but people that benefit from the Speedway. And the 3 events that we did was, we did a food drive at the beginning of the year and did 600 pounds of food, which went to a local church down the road. We did almost 300 book bags for the 3 local elementary schools around here in August for kids that are underprivileged, that don't have, that they don't have means to go to school. And then we did Toys for Tots, which we collected over 300 toys. And the local Toys for Tots deal said that we were one of the biggest in York as far as quality of goods. And to me, and we're doing all that again this year, but to me, it's how can we use the Speedway? How can we use our drivers? How can we use our fans to have a positive impact in the community and do good and expose people to racing? That book bag deal, we actually took an intermission that night at the races, and we set out 6 tables, had all the supplies. We had 5 or 6 drivers, and then we asked for all the volunteers to come out of the stands that wanted to help. We had about 80 people help with that. And the interaction between the drivers and the kids and the fans and all that stuff, like, to me, that's important. How do you, talk about, how do you bring in the next new fan? How do you bring in the next new sponsor? How do you bring in the next person to come to your Speedway? Well, we got to start using our Speedway to impact the community. And, to me, I think that is one of the coolest things that we were able to do last year. And I hope that, people appreciate it, and hopefully we can grow it. And I think it'll be a good thing for everybody.
I'm disappointed that the bull riding's against the outlaw race. I'll be honest. I want to see the bull riding. I don't know what made you get bull riding at BAPS Motor Speedway.
I always.
Are you going to do it, Kolten?
What's that?
Are you going to take a ride?
No.
He's going to be the clown. He's going to get in a barrel.
Oh my.
No, it's the same people that do it at the farm show, so they'll bring in the chutes and all that stuff. But I get a lot of crazy ideas. Sometimes I can't get them all to paper, but I think it'll be, hey, at the end of the day, we're in an entertainment venue, Speedway, and we're here to put on excitement and entertaining events for fans. And the way I look at it is, if it's a successful event, cool. If it brings in new people that maybe have never been to the Speedway, that's one of the hardest things I think every racetrack in the country has to do is to bring in new fans. And to me, if we can do that, that event is more than enough successful just for that alone. So I know a lot of people think we're crazy by doing it, but I can tell you the amount of interest that we have and ticket sales, it's definitely one of our top selling events that we are doing here at the Speedway so far.
I love it. When he told me about it, excuse me, but no, it's good. It's different. But back to the racing end of it, and I know guys want to tires, okay, which is your specialty. You were on the road with Casey Kane. You were with Casey Kane Racing for 10 years. New tires this year. It's a big talk in central Pennsylvania, especially leading into this weekend because it's the World of Outlaws. What are you going to do as far as the tire roll for 410s, for Super Sportsman as well? And what are your thoughts on all the changes going on? We have fire suppression as well now, and it was a topic today. Dirt Tracker with Justin Fiedler talked about it as well. What are your thoughts on everything going on, and what's going to be your role for tires?
Well, I think for us, ultimately, we got to focus on, BAPS Motor Speedway. I can't speak for what all the other tracks are doing or and all that stuff, but I've told guys, the first two races for sure, which is March 26th and April 16th, they can run the new tire or the old tire, and we'll evaluate it after that. If we get a snowstorm and it snows here the next 3 or 4 weeks, there's going to be a lot of tires available. And if we can, kind of go as we go with the schedule and make a decision as we go, I think that's kind of the best interest for everybody. Because, for me, what's tough is, we don't run 410s every week. So I think there's some guys that are going to pick and choose with our races. They're going to see how Friday and Saturday night goes. And I think if we mandate one tire, I don't know if it's good or bad for us. So I think the best play that we can do is the first two races. You can either run the tire from 2022 or a new one, and then after those two races, we'll make a determination on, hey, if we go another race or two, and kind of play it the best case we can. I have it both sides. I mean, I got guys that tell me they have a ton of tires, and I have guys that tell me they don't. I don't know. I can only go off of what car count is at a racetrack, in all honesty. But to me, I think that's the best play that we can do. I hope that, Williams Grove and Lincoln and Port get some races in, because I think as used tires become available, obviously that becomes a feeder system for the super sportsmen, the 358s, even some of the lower buck teams. So I think the biggest thing is this is a tough situation for everybody. However way you want to slice it, it's a tough situation for everybody. Hoosier, the series, the teams, guys that bought tires, guys that sold all their tires and now they don't have any. I mean, it's just, I think it's a no win for everybody. I think the only thing that we can do is just try to do the best thing as we can. And to me, I think that's doing the first two as this, and then we'll kind of see where everybody's at. Because like I said, if Port and Lincoln and all those guys start getting in the races and everybody goes to those tires, that kind of gives us our answer. But to me, I think that's the best way that we can kind of approach it.
Last question, we'll get you out of here. How much did your time on the road help you in running BAPS Motor Speedway?
Well, I mean, you see a lot of things of what not to do. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that's like, I think
That's funny.
there's a lot of good things you see out there. There's a lot of bad things you see. I think if anything, it has really given me the opportunity to rely off of some people. I go back to 2018 when, there's no secret, we had a pretty bad dust problem. It's just how it was. 2018 was pretty bad. And, there was a couple people that reached out, and there was a couple people that was willing to help, and, Roger Slack and John McCoy. And, if I wasn't on the road, I probably wouldn't have had those relationships. So I think there was a lot of things to take from that, to kind of prepare where I'm at. But I will also say this, I certainly don't know everything. And I certainly don't think that I know everything. When I try to make a opinion or a decision, I try to pull a couple people and get their feedback, and then try to pick the best case scenario for what we do. But to me, every day there's a learning experience. There's social media and technology, and everything's changing, and everything kind of continues to evolve every month and every year. And I think anytime that you can kind of keep bringing in data can only make the best decisions possible. But yeah, I certainly don't know everything, that's for sure.
I don't know if anybody in racing does, except when I'm going against Ryan in the picks. It's been bad this year. He's been getting schooled. It's 11-1.
That's early.
It's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly.
Be no Christmas card after that on that either. He's a Commanders fan, but they don't do anything for their people, so that's just how they are.
They're getting better.
If they get rid of the owner,
True.
They're getting
Yeah,
better.
they need to get rid of him quick.
that's good. Kolten, thank you for coming on. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and all I can do is encourage people to go to our website and hopefully check out the races and events, and then, like I said, hopefully with the sprint car stuff, we'll have some information out here in the next day or two, and hopefully some teams will be excited to support our events.
That's going to wrap up segment 2, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We'll be back in segment 3 when we go to the mailbag. Stay tuned.
If you're in the market for a Renegade toter home, Intech, Bravo, or United Sprint Car trailer, head to the industry's #1 dealer, Capital Custom Trailer and Coaches. No one sells more sprint car trailers than Capital Custom Trailer and Coaches. Why? Well, because we ourselves are racers. We use the products. We understand the racer's needs. When it's time for your next toter home or trailer, trust the people in the pits. Capital Custom Trailer and Coaches. Find us online at capitalrenegade.com.
Welcome back to segment 3,
Do that over
SprintCarLimited.com.
again. I made a farting noise, so don't do that. Like, do it again. I'm sorry.
God, Ryan, it's like,
Just do it.
This is painful.
welcome to segment 3, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We're going to the mailbag, Ryan. It's your favorite segment, I think, that we do. And yes, Neil Wilt did ask a question. Seems like all the time.
Attaboy, Neil. Attaboy. You know
Neil
he's paying
from-
attention.
Neil from New Jersey.
That's right.
But the first one I'm going to leave for you because you're the technical guy. I'm not. This is from Jim Gifford, big Buffalo Sabres fan. I think he lives up in the Buffalo area. I met him at Knoxville. The top wing is flat when it's stopped, when the car stopped. But under speed, it seems to produce a cupping. Is this a way to get more downforce like the old dish wings? I don't think that's the point, but I'm going to let you answer that.
Well, I don't think it was ever the intent, but I think depending on what skin you're putting on, how thick your aluminum skin is on the top and the bottom. Well, not so much the bottom because you can't really see that, but how much thickness you have. It's usually like 12 thousandths or 16 thousandths aluminum, and obviously the 12 thousandths will give more, and you will see that effect. And generally, that's there's a lot of bitching that goes on when they see that pictures. I know, like it's easier to see that too when the wing is not powder coated, like when it's left silver. Like Lance, a lot of guys complained about Lance's wing, and I know Lance, they usually always had lighter weight wings. We always tried to run lighter weight wings as much as we could, and that's where it's really coming from. It's just the aluminum not being able to hold its form as flat under the air force that's being created. So do I think it's a big advantage? No, I really don't. But I mean, everybody can say whatever they want. I don't think it's a huge advantage. Do I think it does something? Yeah, it probably does a little bit of something. But I mean, I think there's times when you want it to fly over that wing and not dent it down per se, and it's still doing it. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Well,
Good question.
Yeah, it was a good question. I'm going to piggyback that because I have a question and I wanted to ask you: does carbon fiber matter? We have a weight rule now. Is carbon fiber a big deal? Because the guy who wins the most on the West Coast doesn't use it on his cars. The carbon fiber bodies, or is that just a needless expense at this point?
Some guys say that some forms of let's just say this. There's a lot of different forms of carbon fiber. You have your really, really, really expensive bodies that come mainly out of Indiana, that seem to hold up pretty well. I don't think anything holds up in our area because we tend to have some rocks here, and I don't know if it's just the clay or whatever. I mean, nothing's ever perfect, but like Knoxville, I think you could run whatever you want for as long as you want out there because it seems like there's never rocks in any of that. But I think the carbon fiber, the real stuff that's done in an autoclave definitely holds up a lot better. If it has some Kevlar in it, I think it's definitely safer as well. I think it's harder to shoot rocks and objects through it. Can you do it with fiberglass? Absolutely. The carbon fiber seems to be a little bit lighter, a little bit stronger, but I think some of it's where you are weight wise with your car, or whether you're going to spend the money to do carbon fiber or not. I mean, the ones that are done in the autoclave are very expensive. Those bodies are very expensive. We have some guys back here that do bodies that are not done in autoclaves out of carbon fiber, and they hold up fairly well. And they are a little bit lighter than a fiberglass body, but they are more expensive than a fiberglass body. So I think it's how you want to do it and how much money you want to spend. And can it be done with fiberglass? Absolutely.
Okay. Our next one is from our boy Neil Wilt in New Jersey. And it seems pretty simplistic, but who's on the All-Star Circuit of Champions driver roster? Because it seems to be a big secret. So I'll answer this one because I have the list. And we had an addition today, like 10 minutes before the show. So yeah,
right.
Yes. And it's your boy.
Steve Kinzer. Steve Kinzer.
No, Steve Kinzer.
Oh, shit.
And no, it's not Craig Kinzer, although people think he's going to run some. You have Tyler, Chris Wyndham, Zeb Wise, Parker Price Miller, Scotty Thiel, Hunter Schoenberg. Earlier this week, Connor Morell, who people don't really know who he is. He's a Florida driver who won at Hilltop last year in Ohio, also won a Fast Series event at Lernerville. And then we have the new guy, just added 10 minutes before and isn't even on your sheet.
No.
A.J. Hickle is
nice.
now going to run with the All-Stars. And of course, the name missing, Justin Peck.
Justin Peck.
Who will make his decision in May.
Yeah. I felt pretty sure that Justin would probably end up rolling with the All-Stars, but I'm not sure now. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, the way the schedule is, they run at Attica, maybe in April, and then they don't have a race until May. So he has time to make that decision. He's going to be at the 2-day show at Attica. And then, of course, like I said, they'll do the deal and think about it. They can run out all races. They can come in here and race, obviously, with the team station in Lancaster. So I don't think you'll see many more guys than the ones that we announced. Maybe Justin Peck. That'll be the only one. And I think it might depend on where he is in points after.
Yeah. I feel like he's been knocking on the door. I honestly feel like he's probably the only one legitimately that can beat Tyler out of this list. I'm not saying no one else can, but to string the consistency together that you need to beat Tyler Courtney, I think Peck is probably the only one legitimately to do it. I think there's other guys on here that can beat Tyler night in, certain nights, whatever. But I mean, we all have seen the consistency he has on the All-Star deal. So I think it's certainly if Peck doesn't race the All-Stars, it's certainly Tyler Courtney's championship to lose.
It's over. You could say it. It's over.
Yeah.
Even if Justin Peck runs, it's a 2-horse race. Everybody else is running for 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever. It's just those two teams are better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
The final mailbag question, and we'll get into this more in our 5th and final segment when we make our picks, but can the World of Outlaws return to form in Central PA? Last year, they were 6-2-1. They had the 2. Pennsylvania Posse won 6 races out of the 9. Kyle Larson obviously wins one at Port Royal. This guy's only won 2. So not only can they bounce back, I see you grinning ear to ear, But why did the World of Outlaws struggle last year compared to the Pennsylvania guys? I'll let you take that one.
I think the Pennsylvania guys, I think they have been young for the last 2 or 3 years, and the potential is meeting the the ability now. I mean, Macri won 2 at Port Royal last year. That was 2 that the Outlaws didn't get. I think Brent won 1 or 2 in here. I just feel, and I don't even know, like, Danny is one of the more competitive guys when the Outlaws come, and I don't know that he did any damage.
He had a podium.
Lance won a couple. Yeah, he had a podium or 2, but I mean, like, I just feel like our young guys are starting to put the numbers up now, and that's the way it is. I feel like this year, man, there's so much. I am so anxious to see what happens for Friday, because I think so much is up in the air with the new tire. No one that I've heard of yet has, other than Donnie, tested it. I think it's a great storm for Donnie coming into Friday night. Williams Grove's definitely one of his best tracks anywhere, and he's the only one that has even run a lap on these tires. So I feel like Friday night he certainly has an advantage.
I have to wonder if somebody tested at some podunk speedway that nobody's heard about in West Virginia or something. I always worry about that. But that's kind of a conspiracy theory thing. I know guys all around. I know guys.
I think the weather. I think the weather has taken care of a lot so far.
Sure.
A lot of ability to test anywhere. Now, as the week goes on, I'm not saying that, the weather seems to get, now tomorrow's supposed to still be, I wouldn't want to be out with anything with a wing on, or probably without a wing on the way it was here the last day and supposedly tomorrow. So yeah, forget that.
Look, last year, and this isn't going to be popular, was an anomaly. The Outlaws struggle at Port Royal now. It used to be they struggled at Lincoln. Last year, they had 2 or 3 podium spots at Lincoln, and the third one was Justin Peck. Now the Outlaws are good at Lincoln. The Outlaws are, as I've seen over history, they'll struggle at a place, then they'll figure it out, and then they'll go on a run of 3 or 4 years where the Pennsylvania guys can't beat them. Port Royal right now is the place where they struggle the most. And you take Lance out of the equation, and Brent had a win at the Grove as well last year. That's where the Pennsylvania posse, to me, was impressive, because they beat the Outlaws at the Grove. Now, Lance did get a 10-lap win. It was a heat race. So that counts as an A-main on some planet that I've never visited. So
listen, he doesn't give many away when he's leading. So, I mean, I can't say that. Let's not just say, hey, the Outlaws would have won that night.
No, they shouldn't have raced. It was in the rain. That's it.
I agree.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, nobody was passing them. You're right. That is true. Unless they had a boat. But, I think Donnie has a big advantage this weekend, because he has, even those test sessions, are the tires exactly the same that he tested? I don't know. But I do think the fact that he was at least on them, it doesn't hurt. So I think the Outlaws will rebound this week at the Grove. David Gravel's timing well. The Grove's a timing thing. And I think Lincoln, too. I think they'll be fine at Lincoln. They were fine last year. Watch Justin Peck at Lincoln. And watch Buddy Kofoid at Lincoln. They're both very, very good there. And that's kind of a curveball for the locals as well. But that's going to wrap up segment 3, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We'll be back in segment 4 where we talk to Brent Marks. Stay tuned. Prices are going up, but that isn't the case with SprintCarUnlimited.com. Thanks to the positive response from our holiday discount, we are lowering our yearly subscription to $35 for the rest of the 2022 calendar year. You get all of our podcasts, features, breaking news, results, videos, and much more for the low price of $35, which is an average of just over $2.90 per month. Subscribe today and take advantage of this deal to keep up with everything that is going on in the world of sprint car racing. to segment 4, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Join us on the phone is Brent Marks, who beat the Outlaws in May last year at the Grove. The Outlaws are coming in this week. It was a big season for Brent, $640,000, whatever it was. A lot of wins. Brent, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Obviously, the World of Outlaws are coming to town in March. Something different this year, not going to the West Coast. When an outlaw race is on tap coming up, do you prepare for that differently than, say, a regular show at Lincoln or Port Royal, or is everything pretty much the same?
No, everything's pretty much the same for our team. We just we go out and treat every race the same, and so whether it's just a local 5,000 or 6,000 to win versus an outlaw race, we just go out there and treat everything the same. So I feel like our schedule is pretty difficult as it is. So that's just kind of mentality we always have to have. So I'm excited that the Outlaws are on the East Coast beginning part of the year this time around, and I'm just hoping that we get some good weather so that way we can get some racing in.
Well, I mean, you get the race for more money because obviously they'd be in California. But the big topic coming into the weekend is tires. This is going to be the first weekend on the new tires. Nobody really has an advantage. I know Donnie Schatz was on them last year at the World Finals for a practice session, but that was about it. What do you expect from this new tire? How do you think this is going to kind of shake out? And are you anxious to be on some equal footing with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a little bit of research on the tire, and it's going to be interesting to see what it gives us. But I'm excited to try it. I'm excited for something new, to change it up a little bit, to give us a new challenge. So I'm excited for it, and everything that they're trying to accomplish with it, I like, and I don't know until we hit the track, but I think that it would help our program a little bit. So like I said, I won't know until we hit the track and just kind of feel it out and see what it feels like. But I like the tread pattern. I like that it's reversible. Help us get some more races out of these tires. I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to help save teams a little bit of money, and also help with Hoosier as far as producing tires. If they're able to make stuff last a little longer, it's going to help them in the factory. So I just really like the direction that they're heading, and like I said, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be good.
Brent, in your mind, does anyone have an advantage as far as, like, obviously there's some guys that have never run anything besides the H tires, some of the younger guys that are racing, and then there's guys that are probably middle of the road like you that had good years. You ran the Goodyear tires and maybe a little bit of the open tire era, and then you go back to guys like Donnie who have been on the open tires, and guys with big notebooks like that, like obviously KKR has been on the open tires for a while. So do you think anybody has an advantage because of the experience, and then, or a disadvantage because they've never felt anything besides maybe an H tire?
Yeah, I have little to zero experience on the open tire, so I don't really know how that felt, and I know guys have talked that this is kind of more towards that direction, but things have changed so much over the years, and these cars are so different. Our shock technology has come so far, and I think what worked back in 2006 and 2007 and 8 and all that stuff, I just it's just a totally different time, and I know some guys are probably going to be really happy with the way, like, the feel that it gives if it heads back towards back that direction, and I just don't really have any experience with it, so I don't know. All my experience came on the Goodyears and the new H tires, or the H tires that we have now. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. And like I said, I'm up for it. I don't know. I know guys that only have experience in H tires. They they're probably going to get a totally different feel out of it. I feel like we are too, but like I said, with what they're trying to accomplish with the tire and how it's supposed to react, I think it's going to really, help us out as far as racing condition goes, and racing in traffic and all that good stuff. So we'll see. I wish I was able to get some time on it, before we had some of these bigger races, but unfortunately we didn't get that. And I was talking about Williams Grove there on Sunday, so the weather didn't cooperate for that one. So that would have been a great session to go out, try some stuff and see what these cars are going to like, with this new tire. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, if you think about it, a tire is the biggest spring on a race car. So any change is obviously going to make a big difference. So we'll see. I'm excited for Friday night and, go out there and see what happens with these things.
Moving
Brent,
forward.
you spoke.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
No,
No,
go
go ahead. You spoke of big races. That's basically your schedule. And you won a lot of them last year. You won more money than anybody has. What's it feel like? And maybe you don't even feel it, but what's it feel like to kind of have that target on your back of, this guy's really, he's become a really, really good racer. And he's taking a lot of guys' money right now. So what is that? Do you feel that kind of pressure, or, everybody's eyes are on you?
Yeah, there was times throughout last year that did feel, that pressure, but, I'll use, for example, the King's Royal week. I felt like there was a lot of pressure on me that week. It seemed, for whatever reason, it seemed like everybody that I talked to during that week constantly said that you're my pick to win this thing. And I'm like, can you just not say that, please? It's just you're putting a lot of weight on my shoulders to go out there and perform it. Fortunately, we did. So, but still, there was just a couple times that I let it get to me a little bit last year. But I buried that in the back of my mind and just went out there and had some fun and performed to the best that I could, and it was a great year. So I just feel like we haven't really gotten started this year, and I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully that we can try to repeat as much of it as possible. So that's my goal this year. Is it's going to be really, really, really hard to have a better season than we did last year, but obviously that's every team's goal. But as long as we can mimic it as much as possible, I'll be really happy.
When they announced the Eldora Million, how much did that please you? Did you kind of pinch yourself there, because you are really good at Eldora? I would say that's probably in your top 3 tracks performance wise. You doubled up last year. You probably can't wait to get to the million.
Yeah, I love Eldora. I have a lot of fun there, and I feel like we have a really good program there. And I was hearing slight rumors, about that last year, and I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things. It's like you just don't believe it, and I'm like, I just kept saying, no, that's just a late model thing. They're just going to keep doing that for late models, and I just don't see it happening for us. And the next thing you know, they came out with it, and I was kind of, in shock about it. Even though hearing the rumors, I was in shock about it. I was like, wow, like this is a real opportunity right now that we have to be able to go out and race for $1 million to win. It's just absolutely mind blowing and insane. And never thought, in my career that I would be a part of something like that. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a totally different driving style for a lot of guys. And yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds during that race. But I'm really excited for it, and looking forward to hopefully having, a good program at Eldora again this year. Obviously we're on the tire topic there, so I can't really say that, oh yeah, we're going to go in there and be as good as we were last year, because I don't know until we get there. So hopefully the weather cooperates in May so we can get some track time prior to that and just kind of feel things out and see where we're at and see where we need to improve and go from there. And then one thing about Eldora, every night's a different night out there. So you can, have a bad night, the night prior and run 15th or 16th and go out the next night and be contending for a win. It's just a weird racetrack like that. So I'm excited for it. Very, very, very thankful for it too.
How big a lead you think on the last lap is going to be safe?
I know it's I don't even know what to expect out of that. I mean, if you got one or two cars racing for the lead at the very, very end of that race, like, I don't know. If you're the leader, you're gonna be watching out of the corner of your eye the whole time. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. No, I think like the late model race, everybody kind of watch their P's and Q's, and I think it'll be okay. But Brent, Eldora, like the very first time you went to Eldora, did you have the confidence going there, or is it something that you had to build? I mean, obviously you're really good there. Your car's really good there. Obviously, when you have a good car, it allows you to do things that other guys can't do. But how long did it take you to feel comfortable there, and get, I mean, Eldora's intimidating. A lot of guys go there and they're intimidated.
Yeah, I mean, you have to treat that racetrack with respect, and if you think that like that's a racetrack that definitely doesn't owe you anything. So if you're out there and you have some bad nights, or you're racing up front, something happens, and then you make the comment like, if you win a race, and you're like, oh well, Eldora owed me one. And like, no, that just doesn't happen. So it's just one of those racetracks that you have to respect, and it's taken me a while to get comfortable there. Number one, get a good get a good car and a good program to be able to go there and know what your car is going to do and know what to expect and what lines you can and can't run. I mean, that's a huge thing about that racetrack. And to spend the time to figure that out, it's just very difficult. And I feel like it's taken me a while to get to that point there. And we finally got to a point to where we can go out and be competitive every time we race there. So, like I said, I think we've been going there since 2016, I believe, and got my first win there in 2018, and then from that point on, we were just kind of hit and miss. Depending on the race, we'd have a good run or didn't have a good run. But now I feel like we just kind of dialed everything in, and I feel a lot more comfortable which lines to race and where I need to be out in the racetrack at certain points of the race. And it just all came with seat time and understanding the racetrack and how it changes and where you need to be, at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and how far back you can be from someone to complete a slide job and make it work and keep your momentum up, because it's a big momentum racetrack. So it's just it's crazy. It's just a lot that goes on at that racetrack, and I'm very fortunate that I've been able to adapt very well to it and come away with some of the biggest wins in sprint car racing. So it's just it was pretty amazing.
So Brent, the last 2 weeks ago, you didn't race at all. And then, the Williams Grove opener there, with the weather, there was talk that you might not race that one as well, albeit with the tires. I'm sure what you said earlier, you might have.
Yeah.
Are you taking a different approach to your schedule this year? Are you going to be more selective with your shows based on, home life, what they're paying to win, format, so on and so forth? Or was that just a weekend that you had marked down that you weren't going to race?
No, that was a weekend I had marked down we weren't going to race. Really we were going to race Florida and then not race again until the Outlaws came to Pennsylvania here. But we just decided to hit. We ran Lincoln for the ice break, the first two shows there, and then we raced them too. And then the weekend after that, we didn't intend to race. And then I was up in the air about Williams Grove opener, but with the new tire coming out, I really wanted to race that, just try to get some time under our belt with it. But obviously it didn't work out, so we're just gonna kind of be selective. And I was just talking today about changing our schedule up at the beginning part of this, the next couple months today again. So I'm kind of going for the approach to, as far as like money earned versus money spent. ratio. I'm gonna try to, figure that out this year and what really makes sense, because, you can race for $5,000 to win and all that, right here in Pennsylvania on a Friday and Saturday night. And then, versus traveling 18 hours down the road for 10, which, yeah, it's double the price, but don't forget you have all the travel expenses and everything that goes into that. So there's a lot of money spent to be able to go race some races. So I've been kind of weighing some options, going back and forth on certain things and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And we're just kind of basically month to month at this point, and see what we want to do, where we want to race. And the only thing I've committed to is the high limit series. So anytime there's a high limits series race, you're going to see me in the area with the All-Stars or the World of Outlaws. So, it doesn't really make sense for us to be driving back and forth a bunch like that and bypass some really good races when we're already out there. So, like I said, that's the only thing we're committing to. But I think, as you can tell, I'm kind of up in the air about certain things of what I want to do yet. So we're just kind of play it by ear and do what makes sense for us. And there's some weeks that there might not be a good race at all, and we're just going to, what, it doesn't make sense for us to go. We don't want to go. Maybe we need a weekend off. Maybe everybody needs a break to kind of regroup, relax a little bit, sharpen our minds again, and go back at it. So I've just been in situations in the past where we go race a certain race, and for what it costs to run my race team, I'm in a must-win situation, and we've been pretty fortunate to be able to win some of them races. But if we don't, then it's a losing situation too. So I'm trying to be as smart as I can with a lot of that.
Last question, and we'll let you go. Have you kind of evolved as a driver and team owner, which back in the day you were doing it because you were just trying to race as much as you could? It was fun. It's what you wanted to do. And now it's more of a business, especially with the tire increase and everything going on in the sport, fire suppression. Now you got to kind of pay for that. Is it more of a business now? And do you have to evolve into a businessman as well as being a driver?
Yeah, you really do, and this is how I make my living. And I just try to do it as smart as I can. I just, a few years ago, I wanted to race 150 races a year. But, looking at the money that it takes to do that and the races that you're racing to accomplish that kind of number, it just didn't make sense. You're just kind of racing to race, and you were in the negative a lot more than you were in the positive. So, if I can race, or just say a number, 80 races, and I can go out and kind of figure that I can make around, a good year without winning some big races, we can make around, 350, 400,000, but I only spent 200 doing it. That sounds a lot better than racing 150 races and spending $400,000 to make the same kind of money, if that makes sense. So we're just trying to find that balance and see what works. And it's kind of like trial and error the last couple of years, and trying to see what direction we want to go. And it's really hard because there's so many good races everywhere, and we want to be a part of them all. But like I said, it's just, you have to pick and choose, and it makes it difficult. I made this comment the other day that sometimes it's easier to be on the Outlaw Tour or the All-Star Tour, because at least you know where you have to go. They make you go, so you got to be there.
Yeah.
You don't have the opportunity to choose between 3 different 10,000 to win races and within a 6-hour radius. So that's what makes it hard sometimes, running the type of schedule I do. But I'm enjoying every minute of it. I love the freedom. I love the fact that we can all work together with all our partners to be able to build something that works for us and gives them the maximum exposure that they deserve. And it's been working really well. So I'm excited to continue doing what we've been doing. And like I said, still trying to work it out to what, basically going through it with a, fine comb to get it, nailed down and build it to where it's the most successful for our team. So, but there's a lot of great races this year. I'm going to be a part of just about all of them, and just really excited to actually get the season going again.
Well, Brent, you're definitely going to have some trial and error this weekend. We look forward to seeing you against the World of Outlaws on the new tire. And thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Take care. Welcome to our fifth and final segment, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Ryan, it's been a long show.
It has, yes.
So we're going to zoom through the final segment, no pun intended, being on Zoom, but I think it's worked a little better than it did last week, thankfully. But it's World of Outlaw week in central Pennsylvania, a little early. Normally we don't get
In March.
Yeah, we usually don't get this until May. We're 2 months early, almost exactly. And I mentioned earlier that last year the posse was 6-2-1 against the World of Outlaws between Port Royal, Lincoln, and Williams Grove. That's the best I think they've done in a long time. But it wasn't just the wins. They had 16 podiums out of they had 16 out of a possible 27 podiums. Say that 5 times fast. And the Outlaws, I think, only had 8 podiums. The other 3 were Larson, Peck, Rico Abreu. So the posse handled it. They kind of handled the Outlaws last year.
So what you're saying is the posse wasn't too bad last year. As much as you beat them up and you love California, you're saying the posse took care of some damn business last year. Is that what you're saying?
Look, I don't have
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't have favorites. Okay. Let's get
Okay.
that out there. I just report on what I see. That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No biases here.
None.
None at all.
None.
So, but this, as we've been talking about throughout the show, this is a different animal this week. Tires. I can't wait to see what happens on the tires. Are the same guys going to be up front? Are the guys who do have experience on that old, what was it, the RDs, I guess, in the early 2000s?
RD, yeah, RD12, C2000 era, right where it was a C2000. Yeah.
Right. And then, of course,
I don't think we're back that far with this tire, but we're somewhere in between, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's a shame Danny Lasowski isn't racing because he
loved them.
Yeah, he'd probably love this.
The softer, the better.
Oh, so, but apparently it's supposed to, the sidewalls are stiffer, I guess. And the car's going to sit.
I don't, the leffer, I don't think the sidewall's stiffer. It's supposed to be softer. It's supposed to be back more towards our older stuff. This is a compromise between them, I believe. So it'll be interesting. I just feel like there's so many unknowns going. I think in the end, the cream will rise to the top like it always does. But I mean, heck, someone could really hit it the first night, like hit it and just annihilate the field.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens, but now we're going to make our picks. We got Williams Grove on Friday night, and you pick first because, well, you're pretty far behind. And
I am.
And Joe didn't know you took Lance DeWeese at Port Royal. So that 54 is about 76.
Great.
Well, that's
wonderful.
Well, I figured you'd like that.
It's all right. Honestly,
It's
All the unknowns this weekend, it can't be any worse for me. It just can't. I feel like it is because I feel like I'm just throwing darts with a blindfold on. But if you look at my numbers, it looks like I've been throwing darts with a blindfold on with my left hand. So,
you never say.
I don't know.
You never say that.
Huh?
You never say.
No, it's been awful. It's been
But
awful.
Williams Grove, who do you got?
Williams Grove. Oh, tell you what, give me Gravel.
David Gravel.
I think David Gravel never lacks confidence, but I just feel like they're rolling. I think they could throw 3 cement blocks on 3 of the 4 corners of that car, and he's still going to be, he's confident right now. Williams Grove's a great place for him.
Last year, 3 5th-place finishes, a 6th and a 7th, and that was a down year. He's that good there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And he qualifies. You need to qualify.
I think between 2017 and 2020, we had a story on sprintcarunlimited.com yesterday, 7 wins at the Grove.
Yeah.
In that time. So, really good at Williams Grove. That's a good pick. I'm going 1 of 2 spots on this one.
Well, I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
You're going Donnie Schatz or Lance DeWeese.
Yeah, it's got to be one of them.
I
I'm
know.
playing the tire game. I'm going to go with Lance DeWeese. He's been good at the Grove. You want to talk about a guy who's seen all kinds of tires? Davy Brown.
Yeah.
Don Kreitz Jr. and Lance DeWeese have seen more tires than anybody in any other team in the pit area.
Guaranteed.
So
yeah,
I'm gonna play that card. And then Lincoln Speedway on Saturday night. It's a wild card here.
As if Williams Grove wasn't.
No, but the thing with Lincoln is it was posse dominant for a while, and now it's starting to be more out. The Outlaws are better there than
yeah.
So then it becomes tricky. I'm almost tempted to go with an all posse weekend, which is I never do that. Draw's going to be huge at Lincoln.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't believe I might do this. I'm going to take Danny Dietrich. Or no.
Can I have it?
No. I don't want.
I didn't write it yet, and I'm using a marker, so you got reprieve here.
Justin Peck. I'm going to take it. I'm taking an Invader, but I'm going an all-star regular. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what. I shouldn't do that. Your head's going to swell.
No.
Give me Buddy.
Look at you.
Your head's going to swell.
Joe's proud of you.
Yep. He goes good at Lincoln. He adapts quickly. I don't know. I got to swing for the fences right now, or get further buried. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Joe has a bet for you. Joe Von Schultz will be on the show next week. And you guys like to wager with each other. I heard some of the bets he's going to come up with. I can't wait.
That's good.
Can't wait.
Hopefully I'm in a better mindset.
Oh, I know you're going to jump at the one bet. I know that.
Right.
So
call it good.
But that's going to wrap up this edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Stay tuned to SprintCarUnlimited.com all week for your sprint car needs. We'll have plenty of coverage from the World of Outlaws events in Central PA, and we'll be back next week with another show. Stay tuned.